Good morning, members, and welcome to this reconvened meeting of the local review body. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and the recording will be made available on the council website for public listening. Please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting your microphones and switching off your videos when you're not addressing the meeting. Could you please speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute? I'll also look out for any hands going up. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. Claire, can you confirm that we're quorate today, please?
Yes, Chair, I can confirm that you're quorate this morning. There's currently 3 members in the meeting. I've just gone to 4 members, being yourself, Councillor Dempster, Councillor Fairbairn and Councillor McGregor. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Claire. We have 2 items to complete today. The first being item 5, which is Broomhill Farm, Lochmaben. I'll ask Claire to provide an update regarding the further procedure agreed on 19th of January 2022. Claire?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just to confirm that all the members on the 19th of January went through the papers for item 5. Following a vote, you determined that an unaccompanied site visit would be necessary. This visit took place on Monday the 28th of February with all 4 members who are in attendance today at that site visit. Independent Planning Advisor was also in attendance at the site visit.
Thanks very much, Claire. So does the local review body consider that it has sufficient information to determine the review? I take silence as an acceptance. And that, is that somebody coming in on chat? Or is Jim Dempster saying yes? Thanks very much, Councillor Dempster. Well, members, I'll open it up to debate. Fiona, you're showing your screen again. Sorry. Members, it's open up for debates for consideration. I don't see anybody wanting to come in. No hands going up. Councillor McGregor.
Thank you, Chair. It's perhaps a question for whichever planning officer is in attendance today. David, I just wonder how much discussion did the applicant and agent have with the council with regard to the scale and type of design, I suppose, of the proposal? I'm very aware that the council are quite keen to sort of iron out any issues prior to going to committee or being determined, and it was just to understand how much sort of pre-planning and in the process of planning discussions actually happened so that the applicant better understood the need for something perhaps slightly scaled down.
Thank you, Councillor McGregor. David, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I don't have any detailed information about pre-application, but certainly from your papers, if you have a look at page 167, there's a letter which gives clear advice from the case officer that runs to page 169, which sets out really what was sought in terms of amendments to design. And notwithstanding that request, there were some minor amendments, but really, from what I can see, the fundamental design remained, and the reasons for refusal as set out in the, it's really pretty much page 161 across to page 162, paragraphs 4.6 down to 413 set out in detail why the case officer considered that really, notwithstanding the discussions and the amendments, it still didn't meet. So beyond that, I don't have any further information, I'm afraid.
Thanks, David. Has that been helpful, Councillor McGregor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've established that the principle of a house on the site, and having seen the site, it's quite a large site, but I suppose it's really a case of establishing the right type of design for that site, which has been detailed, as you say, at pages 161 and 162, and presumably that the design as is contrary to some of our policies. So I'm just reading through page 161 again.
Yeah, I believe that's the case, Councillor McGregor. I'll ask David just to clarify that though.
Yeah, it's not, you know, that there's a difference between guidance and policy, and I suppose it's just understanding if it's contrary to guidance and contrary to policy, which would make it more difficult for us to make any other determination.
Yeah, David.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, again, at the end of the delegated report on page 163, I note that the officer and the appointed officers agreed with this view, is that it's specifically contrary to policy H3 and in terms of the design, OP2, which is the relevant one, and the supplementary guidance. So it's to do with the siting and design of the proposed dwelling house, would fail to have regard to the layout and character of the rural location and local vernacular architecture. I mean, I think reading through this, it's I was interested to note, actually, going back to that letter that the case officer had sent on page 168, it's not in terms of just pure black and white that it must be a pastiche, if you like, of a traditional building. That's the only thing that would be acceptable. No, it's not that. The big paragraph at the top of the page actually stresses that genuinely innovative and contemporary designs that demonstrate an informed use of traditional references and sympathetic understanding of the existing landscape will be considered favourably. So looking through all that, my reading of why they came to that conclusion was that ultimately it was neither a traditional design nor a sort of grand designed contemporary exemplar piece of architecture. And in that prominent location, I think that was what was the stumbling block, but it was, as we saw on site on a rather wet day, it is quite an elevated position there.
Thanks very much. Has that been helpful for you, Councillor McGregor?
Yes, thanks very much, Chair.
Councillor Dempster? Are you on mute, Jim?
No, Chairman, my telephone went and I was busy trying to switch off before I spoke to you.
Okay.
No, thank you, and thanks, Gail, for establishing, I think, where we find ourselves. And I would be inclined, given the information in the report and as a consequence of our site visit, that the case officer's decision to refuse this application on this occasion is the right one, and it's something that I think we should uphold, and that'd be my view, Chairman, going forward. I think we should uphold the case officer's decision and refuse this application.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Dempster. Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. So I don't know if anybody's got an alternative view on that. See anyone coming in? So, Claire, can you just confirm the decision of the LRB, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I can confirm that the LRB have agreed to uphold the decision of the appointed officer and refuse the planning permission for the same reasons as stated in the papers, i.e. that the proposal is contrary to policies H3 and OP2 of the Local Development Plan 2 and associated supplementary guidance, and that siting and design of the proposed dwelling house would fail to have regard to the layout and character of the rural location and local vernacular architecture which it would form part by virtue of its elevated and set back position within the site, general proportions, massing and scale.
Thank you very much, Claire, and thank you, members. We'll now move on to agenda item 6, which is Edenard 1 Maitland Place, Wigton. Claire, could you provide an update regarding the further procedure agreed on the 19th of January 2022, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I can again confirm that the members went through the papers for this item on the 19th of January and I again determined that a further procedure of an unaccompanied site visit would be necessary, and I can again confirm that the site visit took place on Tuesday the 1st of March, with all 4 members who are in attendance today at that site visit, with the independent planning advisor also in attendance.
Thanks very much, Claire. So does the local review body consider that it has sufficient information to determine the review? I see Councillor Dempster has put yes in the chat. Okay, members, again, I'll open this up to debate for consideration of this review. Councillor McGregor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, having seen this site, and I think it was a very useful visit actually, and because the hedge has been taken down at the front of the site, it gave us a much more realistic view of what the site has capacity for. And I have to say that I think on this occasion, a small house in that site would probably be very appropriate and would fill a gap which is existing and is fairly untidy in a very tidy street. So I would be minded to unfortunately go against the officer's recommendations on this occasion and not refuse the planning permission. Somebody may have better wording than me.
Thanks, Gail. And so that's a reversal of the officer's decision. I've got Councillor Fairbairn, then Councillor Dempster. Councillor Fairbairn.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I kind of conclude with Councillor McGregor. That visit was very useful, and I think on this occasion as well we should go against the officer's recommendations, because I think a small house would fit in there satisfactorily within that particular area, and also including the information we got last minute, which wasn't included in relation to the households. So very beneficial, and yeah, I can agree that it should go forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Duke. Councillor Dempster, Jim.
Thanks, Chair. No, I think I concur with other members, having seen the site opened up and having looked at the location. I think there is a capacity there for a small dwelling, and I think on this occasion we should overturn the case officer's decision and recommend approval on the basis that it's appropriate for a small dwelling to be.
Thanks very much.
In that location. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm kind of a similar vein. When I seen the site that was opened up, it was very beneficial to actually see the site. So it was probably a good call to go for a site visit. So it looks to me as if that's quite unanimous of reversing the decision. So I'll just ask Claire to confirm the decision of the LRB. Please, Claire.
Okay.
Oh, I've got Laura Whitelaw coming in. Laura, do you want to ask something?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just noting in the report, there was a suggested condition from Roads that you should take into account if you're reversing the decision and granting planning permission. You should have reference to that. It's at paragraph 2.2 of the report. I'm just trying to find the correct page number for you.
Chair,
Yes,
of assist, I have some conditions drafted up in anticipation, which would address exactly what Laura is saying.
Thank you, David. I'll turn off my mic then and let you take over.
Thanks, David.
If that's the decision of members, then the conditions, I think, which would be appropriate. I think as well, probably it's an interesting one to maybe get a view from Claire on this, is that obviously it's not a recommendation. The decision had been made by the appointed officer to refuse the application, but it's an interesting one. Some applications are black and white in terms of policy, other ones it's a degree of interpretation, and as members I'm sure picked up that there was a difference in even professional officer opinion, with the case officer being originally minded to, the original case officer being minded to approve it, and then the team lead refusing it. So I think it is legitimate for members to come to the view that this actually accords with policy, so it wouldn't be an exception to policy, that having seen the site, you're satisfied that the proposed house actually does fit within the site satisfactorily. And the conditions, I would suggest you might want to consider attaching are to do with just the off-street car parking and turning areas which are shown on your plan on page 301. The sort of standard condition is that those ones that are shown should be formed in complete accordance with the said drawing, or such other drawings as may be approved by the planning authority. Thereafter, the said parking and turning areas shall be kept clear from obstruction and shall be retained only for that purposes for the lifetime of the development. So, fairly standard condition. And then another one about having the access would have to have a drop curb detail, and it should be trapped and drained so that it prevents any surface water flowing onto the public road or onto the site from the public road. And then another standard condition about access gates being no less than 1.5 metres behind the road boundary with a 45-degree splay from the gate posts, and that they should open into the site only. Standard directives, I would suggest as well, would cover the standard 3 years for determination, for implementation, of the permission and the submission of the normal initiation of development and completion of development certificates, the need for a road opening permit from roads, and flagging up the advice of Scottish Water. But subject to all of those, then I'm quite happy for you to proceed on that basis.
Thanks very much, David. Are members content with the conditions that's just been outlined by David Suttie?
I think that's useful, John. I think that's helpful, and if Claire can just reaffirm that, it would be great.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for that, Jim. So, Claire, can you just reconfirm everything that's just been said with those conditions as well, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I can confirm that the local review body are minded to reverse the decision of the appointed officer and grant planning permission on the grounds that the application accords with policy, and this would be subject to 3 conditions being relating to off-street car parking, turning, access, one about drop curb, another access, one about the access gate, and there's a number of directives being the 3 years and the completion for the development as well. I could read it all out, but David's already read it out, so I don't want to.
I'm sure members are content with that.
Okay, thank you.
Claire, thanks very much.
Absolutely, aye.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I've got no other business, so thanks very much for everybody's attendance. I'll probably see you 1 or 2 years this afternoon because I'm sitting on the next LRB at 1:30. So no further business, and thanks very much for attending.